today's first edition of Targets in Focus, I'm joined by the Head of Global Alpha Strategy at Nordea Markets, Jonas Thulin. Jonas, before I go on to talk about your outlook for the British pound, this week's first quarter GDP figures showed the British economy slipping back into recession. Were you surprised by these results?
Unfortunately not, no. According to our indicators, it's going to get a lot worse before it actually starts to find a trough in the UK economy. And that's driven predominantly by the consumption side of things and, of course, the property market. So according to our leading indicators, things will keep on tumbling lower, as is the case for Euroland, Sweden, etc.
Well, pound dollar reached fresh 2012 highs this week and is holding above the 161 level as we speak. What's next for the British pound, and for how long do you think it can sustain these current levels against the US dollar?
Even though we are bearish on the UK economy, and that's something for the gilt market to look at, we are actually long sterling versus dollar. And the reason behind that is that we think the market's been too eager to price in QE, even though we're very bearish. So for the very short term, from a strategic point of view, we actually like to establish a long sterling position for the same reason that we actually today are twisting our portfolio and are establishing a long euro position, even though we're very bearish, but it's just that the market has got a little bit ahead of itself. And given the current position in the market, we think there's a short squeeze that's going to occur, and then it's going to lift the euro dollar.
In terms of the euro-Swiss franc floor, do you expect it to remain at 120 or raise to 125 over the coming months? And in addition, do you still see a need for the euro-Swissy cap to remain intact?
We do see a need, given the fact that, again, our indicators for the Swiss economy are extremely poor. Our case is that they can actually lift the band to 125 within the 6-month threshold. We are strategically long euro-Swiss in our portfolio. It is a little bit of a boring trade for the time being, but we do expect that the 120 floor will be held, and if anything, that's going to be raised.
Euro-Swedish krona is showing renewed strength, heading back towards the 890 area. How do you see this pair performing over the next 12 months? And at what level do you see the pair trading at in the short, mid and long term?
On a 6-month horizon, we do expect it's going to break the 9 handle on the upside on Eurostocky. We are currently short Swedish krona from a very, very strategic point of view, a more trading point of view, versus a basket of NOK, euro and dollar. And it's performing so luckily Stocky is performing and lifting that a bit. But we do expect that the deterioration in the Swedish economy is going to eat through to the Stocky. That said, though, this has been a longer process than it has been historically, given the state of Swedish industrial business cycle for the time being. And we are getting a little bit anxious that it could be that we need actually to see liquidity provisions that's going to shift the cross-currency basis before we start to see Eurostocky on the upside. But that said, currently we're long the spot since 890 levels, so we're a bit out of the money. But we do expect the Riksbank to start to shift the rate trajectory on the downside.
Last week, Riksbank kept its benchmark rate at 1.5%. What do you see as being the next possible moves by the Swedish central bank in light of recent economic data and, of course, as a response to the European debt crisis?
What's going to happen now is that, given how they presented the case and the numbers they came out with, the market's going to price away any cuts. So that's going to leave us pretty much even for the next batch of macro numbers, which is kind of market situation that we quite enjoy. Because then we can price away what we think is going to happen, i.e. they're going to have to price in a cut. And then you get a new sense of risk-reward in that sense. So if we're right on that kind of slowing trend in the Swedish economy, it's going to take another couple of weeks or a month until we get the next batch of macro data. And they're going to have to look at, well, maybe we should at least price in 10, 15 basis points for a cut. On the back of that, we're going to try to ride the Stocky. But that said, right now we're in the process of eliminating those kind of positions, even though we started to establish short Stocky, because we still think these levels are they're going to hold.
Jonas, thank you very much for your latest FX forecast and your view on the British and Swedish economy. Now that's all for the moment, but I'll be back later on today with more Targets in Focus. Goodbye for now.